Our next guest is Tarek Tabshouri, and please correct me if I'm mispronouncing your name, Tarek, who's a chief Division of Aeronautics and chair of Disability Advisory Committee, Caltrans. Tarek is a dedicated public servant whose career at Caltrans spans over 2 decades. Since joining as a transportation engineer in 2001, he has advanced through leadership positions, serving as branch chief in District 3, Division of Design, before transitioning to the Division of Aeronautics in 2015. In his current role, Tarek oversees critical aspects of California's aviation infrastructure, including airport safety, system planning, and grant administration. He also leads Caltrans' drone program and spearheads the state's initiative in advanced air mobility. Most recently, in 2024, Tarek joined the CTDAC, Caltrans Transportation Disability Advisory Council, where he has helped shape a powerful vision for Caltrans to become a leader in recruiting, retaining, and advancing people with disabilities while setting the standard for treating all employees with dignity and respect. His approach emphasizes education, relationship building, organizational trust as the foundation for meaningful policy change. So without further ado, please welcome Tarek. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you so much, Bobby, for this gracious introduction and for inviting me today to speak before the SDAC. I'm Tarek Tabshouri. I'm a male with light skin. I'm wearing a blue checkered shirt, a blue tie, and a navy blue jacket, and I use he, him pronouns. I've had the privilege of working in the public sector for the state government for almost half my life, and I'm thankful for the career opportunities and benefits bestowed by state service. I'm a firm believer in serving the state. Of course, I have a strong bias towards Caltrans. I consider myself extremely fortunate today to work in one of the most interesting and fulfilling positions, I would say, I've ever experienced within the state here in aeronautics. I started with the Caltrans Disability Advisory Committee a year ago. While not knowing too much about the DAC and issues of disability law in the workplace, my interest in joining was from some experiences of my coworkers, but also my own medical diagnosis of ADHD 3 years ago. As I gain understanding of neurodiversity and its impact on my education and my career, I've become a firm believer in the importance of individuals with hidden disabilities to be comfortable to self-identify and advocate for themselves in the workplace and have the right to work in an environment that is open, flexible, and accommodating for everyone. So the mandate of the CTDAC, like other state agencies, comes from Government Code Section 19795B-1, which states that each state agency shall establish a separate committee for employees who are individuals with a disability or who have an interest in disability issues to advise the head of the agency on issues of concern to employees with disability. Additionally, Caltrans set forth policies across all levels of management and for employees around matters of disability that are driven by both federal and state statutes. Caltrans Deputy Directive 42 expands the role of the CTDAC and states that the CTDAC will be a non-adversarial committee that provides guidance to Caltrans and reviews policies and procedures on a continual basis and identifies potential Caltrans barriers that impede the full participation of individuals with disability. Deputy Directive 42 also establishes that the Caltrans Assistant Director for Equal Employment Opportunity will be responsible for establishing and maintaining an active DAC. During COVID, CTDAC activities dwindled and the committee was not effectively operational. I would like to acknowledge our Assistant Director, Shalini Hunter, for her leadership and the work of her office in re-establishing the CTDAC and providing the necessary support for us to fulfill our mission and responsibilities. EEO assistance have come in many ways. It includes outreach, providing communication and messaging for our activities and meetings, inviting us to participate in events such as Disability and Diversity Awareness Day and the National Disability Employment Awareness Month. EEO staff also provides support to manage our monthly online meetings, such as with technical assistance, as well as for securing American Sign Language interpreters for our members who use ASL. And just as importantly, I do want to thank Shalini for also understanding the importance of maintaining an independent DAC, also within the spirit of collaboration outlined in the Deputy Directive. So in order to fulfill our mandate, our responsibilities include reviewing reasonable accommodation, the Limited Examination Appointment Program, or LEAP, and other relevant programs. We're also responsible for conducting outreach and education activities for Caltrans employees. We also represent Caltrans at meetings, functions, and events pertaining to disability matters, participating in the SDAC, and also providing employees with information and resources on any available services through Caltrans or the state. The CTDAC executive team consists of 3 officers: a chair, vice chair, and secretary. As chair, I am responsible for facilitating CTDAC meetings, coordinating with district representatives, preparing memos for directors, and participating in CTDAC events. Our vice chair, who's Aaron Von Turch, assists with facilitating meetings, coordinating with other programs, arranging guest speakers, as well as many, many other responsibilities that some she took on all by herself. Our former secretary, Asami Saito, schedules CTDAC monthly meetings, creates meeting invites, takes minutes, and distributes information for members. Asami had to step down as she took a promotional opportunity at another state agency. We were very happy for her, but also sad to lose this amazing leader and person. Our meetings are held online once a month. The meeting includes executive updates, guest speakers, vote items, and an open forum. To encourage participation from interested individuals, our meetings are open to all Caltrans employees. Given the size of the department and the scope of responsibilities, the DAC established subcommittees and working groups that are more focused on specific issues and topics with clearly defined goals and outcomes. The CTDAC has accomplished a lot in the past year thanks to the tremendous dedication and commitment of Aaron and Asami, as well as our EEO liaison, Alicia Schrum. Thanks to their hard work, our committee has 54 members and continues to grow, and we have met the 2/3 membership goal of having members with the disability. Our monthly meetings have included speakers from various organizations to present on topics related to disability awareness, inclusion, and accessibility. Recent speakers have included representatives from the California Department of Rehabilitation, Caltrans ADA Infrastructure Program, from the Alzheimer's Association, and from the Caltrans CalHR, from the CalHR Wellness Program. Just last week, Alex Pineda, the chair of the California Public Utilities Commission Disability Advisory Committee, also presented and gave us an insightful and motivating presentation. Our monthly meetings are also an opportunity for subcommittee updates, announcements, relevant topics, And just as importantly, it is a forum for members to speak up and raise concerns. Last year, the DAC conducted a survey of our members to assess disability status and to identify their interests and priorities. The survey results revealed that CTDAC members are particularly interested in topics around reasonable accommodation, mental health, developmental and learning disabilities, and assistive technology. To date, we have established 2 committees or subcommittees: Outreach and Recruitment, which works on growing the CTDAC, coordinating with districts and public outreach as well as a subcommittee on neurodiversity, which focuses on increasing awareness at Caltrans about issues of mental health and learning and developmental disabilities. In addition, the work of the neurodiversity subcommittee has really effectively created a forum for members to open up, express themselves, and speak out about issues and challenges they faced in their lives. I am especially proud that this forum has allowed these members to really be themselves, express themselves in a true and authentic manner. And it fills my heart with joy when I hear those members refer to others in the subcommittee as their tribe. While our work so far has focused on education outreach and building up the organizational structure, we know the most important role is providing recommendations for improvement to our director. Toward that work, we have to date drafted a new set of bylaws that are currently under review and we expect to be approved hopefully soon. We've also started prioritizing the review of programs that our members have expressed the greatest interest in, including RA and LEAP. Irrespective of which program we review, our approach will be the same. It is first to understand the operations of the program, how it aligns with Caltrans' mission and vision, and also with the spirit, not just the letter of the law. We also would like to know how it compares with other state agencies and their work. We are starting with no assumptions or prejudgment, and instead we will rely on available data and resources, as well as documenting experiences from any employees that are interested in sharing their stories. Our goal is to put recommendations that are well-researched, fact-based, and actionable, while also respecting that we have limited time and limited availability for all our committee members, exec staff, and volunteers. The CTDAC vision for Caltrans is truly to become a leader in recruitment, retention, and upward mobility for people with disabilities, and also serve as a model for treating all employees with kindness, dignity, and respect. We know there is no easy, straightforward path to change. Peter Drucker, known as the father of organizational management, famously said, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." So in order to make a difference within any organization, changing culture is just as critical as changing policies. With that in mind, I believe that this vision will be realized by holding firm to the CTDAC role and scope of responsibility, by continuing to build trust, credibility, and relationships within the CTDAC, with EEO, and across all divisions and districts, and finally, by celebrating our successes, big and small. I'd like to thank you all for your time today. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Tarek. Again, very informative presentation. I love that statement that the culture will eat strategy for breakfast. How do you intend to change the culture within your organization to promote more equity for a person with disabilities within Caltrans?
So that is the million-dollar question. And so I really think it starts by what we call modeling the way. So even within our operation, even within the CTDAC, even within the executive leadership team, we try to conduct ourselves in that manner. And we set the expectation of nothing else for ourselves, for our fellow members, and in our discussions with the EEO, I try to walk in to those meetings, assuming the best in people and trying to connect what they do with what we are doing and with my personal story. And I've noticed that when I am open and I am willing to share some things about myself, I find that not only builds trust, but it gets people to open up as well.
Thank you so much. Not only are you modeling the way, but you're also being a leader in that capacity. So thank you for doing that. Alex, you have your hand up. Please go ahead, unmute.
All right. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Tarek. Thank you very much for your presentation. Similar to safety culture, a healthy, robust, and mature disability culture must be maintained to help employ, promote, and retain persons with disabilities in the workforce. Much of that comes from empathy, education, and learning, and infusing that culture from the top down of any entity. Does your agency have disability-related trainings that are mandatory? And if so, even if generally speaking, what are these trainings about? Around how long ago did the disability-related trainings become mandatory? And does agency management also have to take this training?
I believe this training is mandatory. I'm not exactly sure in when it became permanent, and that is a good question. That is something I can follow up on. However, we do want to always see this training stay current and stay live. And that's something that we also, while it may not be the very first thing on our agenda, that's something that we are cognizant of and want to make sure we maintain. And, you know, it's more importantly, though, we have all kinds of mandatory trainings. And that's a very important first step. The question is then, how do you really accomplish what you just said? Is how do you connect that with empathy? And the truth is, you know, we don't know. I don't think anyone knows how you go about changing minds and hearts. I do think, though, that leadership does matter, to what Bobby was saying, and I appreciate been around Caltrans for a long time, and I'm very impressed with our current leadership, starting with our director. And I think that sets the climate, that sets the atmosphere for, you know, who ends up in the leadership positions below him, and so forth and so on. And so I think it really always starts at the top.
Great. Thank you so much. You also
mentioned, Bobby. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. Sorry, I couldn't. I was going to mention, Bobby. I couldn't. I don't. I can't find the raising hand icon. I apologize.
Okay.
I was going to raise my hand first.
Ask your question, Glenn.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
Tarek,
on.
thank you so much, Tarek, for providing us information about your efforts, your endeavors there, and also your career path, and I also for letting us know about the neurodiversity committee that the CTDAC came about. And my question is, how did the neurodiversity committee came about? How was the initial initiative that brought it up? That's my number one. That's one question. And the second question is, in terms of diverse ways of communications and, you know, interfaces and things like that, has the subcommittee or the CTDAC been able to provide some kind of support for those who are aspiring for leadership positions and such? And in terms of communication interface, in terms of different ways, different personal styles of communication to help them with upward mobility, or do you have an example of something like that? If even you have, thank you.
Yeah, and I will.
Number two.
That's a great, I think, series of questions, and I will do my best to try to hit as many as I can, and please let me know if I miss something. In terms of like where do these ideas come around? So, at our meetings, we really take the time to just say, hey, we have an open forum, folks just chime in. And we've had, while folks maybe not addressed or not brought up initially neurodiversity, but we've always tried to create the safe space, right? Irrespective of who joins in, because it is an open forum. The way I've approached it is, I really don't care who's on the line at this point. Like, I'm going to speak as authentically about myself, about my experiences, about where I think we should go. And, I'm not going to, really try to censor myself. I think that gives people some freedom to speak out. People were also very responsive in our survey. Aaron von Turch, our vice chair, is so good at all manners of communication, at setting up surveys, and that gave us some really good data. And we said, hey, are you interested in neurodiversity? And we got tremendous response. So we knew that that was there. In terms of like how to improve communication, again, it's such a huge area. But I can tell you that throughout this process, we were contacted by a gentleman who is deaf, who has had a lot of challenges in getting through interviews, and we got to learn a lot about what somebody who only communicates through with ASL faces. It was really eye-opening, and initially we tried to see if we could advocate on his behalf, but we learned that really that is not the role of the CTDAC. But to understand, raise awareness, and hopefully turn that into some recommendations that would benefit him and benefit others in his situation. So that's what we're working on. And actually, that's what one of our focus points is we have this opportunity. Let's see if we can get to raise awareness and maybe build some best practices on what an interview with somebody that is hard of hearing should look like.
Thank you so much. Do we have any other questions for Tarek? If you do, please unmute and ask your question.
This is Alex. I saw in the chat that someone posted a comment, which could also be a question. With regards to changing culture, do you have any tips for changing the perspective from coworkers that reasonable accommodation is not getting special treatment, or that it is getting special treatment?
Special treatment in the sense of that it is not. Can you just clarify what special treatment, in what context do you mean special treatment?
I believe that, at least from my own personal perspective, is that sometimes somebody that doesn't have a disability or it does not receive a reasonable accommodation may perceive the person receiving the reasonable accommodation as getting a special item or some kind of special privilege or special something or other that the person without the disability is not receiving. And so they may paint a picture of the person receiving the accommodation as a negative rather than it being an item or a change to their work environment that is to allow them to receive an accommodation to do the job that to the best of their ability.
Wow. Okay. I hear you. So I don't know if I've seen or picked up on that perspective, but I have maybe something similar is one thing we want to try to counter is this narrative that RA in general is just an opportunity to get you a free pass, whether you have a disability or you don't. And that is something that I think is cultural that I've seen and I've heard, and this is where, like, getting to hear those stories of people that were impacted, and I believe, Alex, you got to hear that as well last week, as did we. One particular story that I think is so moving and I think is so meaningful that it should be told, and a story like that is a stark reminder as to why reasonable accommodation exists, and to really put a human face and a story behind it. So I'm not sure if that really answers your question, but there is definitely a level of cynicism, I believe, throughout the organization that really should be, I think, countered.
There's a comment here that says, thank you for addressing the culture bias towards people with disabilities. One question that we ask many presenters here from various departments and leaders particularly, and that is whether or not they know anything about their disability parity rate within their organization. And folks that are not familiar with that term, it means percentage of person with disabilities working within your organization. Do you know what that parity rate is within your organization? 1, 2, what it should be, and if it's not that, then what efforts being expended to achieve that goal?
We're at a low 7%.
You're at what?
In the low 7s, 7.1, something like that. And that graph has just kind of been flat and fluctuating. And I want to say we're the target is supposed to be 16 some percent. And Bobby, please correct me on that number, because I think we are so low that I feel like sometimes that goal is just so unachievable, but we just want to see that graph kind of start ticking up. That's kind of really what I focus on, not try to look at where it should be. It kind of might be a little disheartening to see that. So am I right on the
you're very close. It's 16.6 is the goal to achieving that. And if you're not there, but you're doing all the right things, you're talking about it, you're talking about culture change. You discussed many programs about LEAP and RA and so on, and having the EEO office helping you in leading many of these efforts certainly is a big boost in that direction. And I'm sure you'll achieve that goal before you know it, as long as you keep up the good work.
Can I just add, thank you so much for that. Can I just add one
Sure.
small piece to that? Is
Please.
We kind of see that target as at least I do, as the responsibility of the EEO office. At the same time, our responsibility is to drive change, to create conditions that that help retain people, keep people, promote people. And while this is being driven by maybe one person here or one person there, or this story or that story, I do think that over time, the reputation of Caltrans would only improve. And I think that's where I think we can start seeing upticks in the numbers, right? Is when Caltrans is perceived through these little incremental changes as a place that is welcoming and that is open for people with hidden disabilities to self-identify.
And the only comment I would add to that, that's a very good response, Tarek, that the responsibility of making disability parity rate achievable is all of our responsibility. It's a shared responsibility. to become an inclusive environment. And not only that, it's an equal opportunity question, right? We're hiring people, person with disabilities, because they're best qualified for the job, not because they have a disability. So as long as we are doing that and removing barriers of hiring person with disabilities, I think we are getting there. So keep up the good work. Thank you. And do we have any other questions for Tarek? If not, thank you, sir. Again, it's been very informative presentation. We appreciate your time, and please come back and present anytime you so desire. And we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you so much, Bobby. I would love that. I want to thank you personally. I want to thank Alex for helping, us, guiding us early on and helping shape that. And I do want to acknowledge that while I, sometimes, can speak, very strongly or have some opinions, I'm still a newbie here. And then there's so much more to learn. And I really look forward to having discussions with yourself, with our sister agencies, to really kind of move forward in a most effective manner. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Tarek. You're also very humble. Life is a learning course, so we'll continuously learn. Thanks again for coming in.